Hey guys, what's up? It's Paul again. I wanted to do another video on the strobe light system I have on a couple of my planes. Got it here on the twin motor Dolphin and then on my XUAV Mini Talon. I thought it'd be cool to walk you guys through the parts you need to do this and the code. Um, and it's kind of cool because you can fine tune it to a strobe sequence that fits your needs. You can make it look like a commercial airliner or whatever you want. The sky is the limit, so to speak. Um, so let me give you a quick demo of what mine looks like. I've got a iNav flight controller in this Dolphin, and then I've programmed an aux switch on my Radio Master Boxer to activate an RC switch on the plane that will turn off and on the microcontroller. So I've got that as my S2 on my Boxer. Turn it on. So there it is. I got a 1 watt LED on the top and bottom of my Dolphin. So yeah, it's pretty bright, looks pretty cool, and it's nice to have the RC switch installed with this. That way you have the ability to turn it off and on. You might not always need it. So, all right, follow me on and show you how to work this thing. So basically, all we need to get this working is we need a microcontroller. This is a cheap knockoff of the Arduino Nano. This is a Amazon special for, I think it was like two for $10. I've also used ones from Palalu. They're A-Star boards. A-Star 28 Micro, I believe, is another nice one because it's about half this size and it's got all the pins you need. A 5 volt regulator. This is actually a smaller version of the one that I've used because I don't have any on hand. But basically, any 5 volt regulator, you can use an adjustable one, but you want to make sure that it can handle at least 2 amps. I'd say would be safe. And then a MOSFET. This is kind of a bigger MOSFET, but this is the one I've used. They work great. They have dual channel, so you can run 2 off of this. And then a RC switch. This is the AliExpress version of the Electhawk V4. This thing can handle a couple, I think 4 amps, but it works well. It's cheap. That's all you need. So I'll go to the PC screen and I'll show you how to connect all this up. Hey guys, I'm back here in front of the computer with a little diagram that I drew up for the strobe light system. The 5 things that we're going to need, like I alluded to before, we will need a 5 volt regulator, an RC switch, a microcontroller, a MOSFET, and an LED bulb. Now, the RC switch is it's optional. You don't need it for this to work. It's strictly to be able to turn it off and on with a switch on your transmitter. So what we will do, the first thing we need to get set up is we need to get our 5 volt regulator powered from, preferably from our battery in our plane or drone. You can do this by soldering ground and positive to from ESC power pads. If it's a wing and you've got a flight controller, the ESC or battery input on the power distribution board. but we want to get a high enough voltage to this 5-volt regulator, and then this 5-volt regulator will step it down to 5 volts out. And so we will take that positive and ground coming from either our battery pads or ESC power pads, and we will connect them to the in positive. Red go to the in positive, and then ground will go to ground. The next step we're going to do is we need to, if we're going to use an RC switch, we need to have the RC switch in the middle between the 5-volt regulator and the microcontroller. Now you could put it in between the 5-volt regulator and VBAT, but I found that this case works a little smoother. It does drain a tiny amount of current, even if you don't have the LED strobe system going, but in my testing, this has just worked out much better. So we are going to take 5-volt out. So we got this out positive. We're going to solder red wire from here to the RC switch red in down here. So this is an example of the Eleckhawk V4 or V3. It's got in, and then down here is out. So we're going to take 5-volt regulator positive out to RC switch positive in, and then we're going to take the ground. So we're going to have to solder another wire on the ground. We're going to do 5-volt regulator ground out to RC switch out. Excuse me, RC switch in ground. And then we're going to come down here to the RC switch out section, and we're going to take our positive and ground, and we're going to connect to the microcontroller 5-volt pad. You'll see it labeled here. I know, sorry, I've got these other lines in here, but there's a 5-volt pad and then a ground. And you could use this ground or you could use the ground on the other side. Doesn't matter. So that's going to power our microcontroller. And the reason we have to use this 5-volt regulator is because this microcontroller cannot use more than 5 volts. It could use 3.3 volts. We've got a 3.3 pad up here, but 5 volts it's going to be more stable, especially on DC power. So now we've got the microcontroller powered. How do we get the signal to the LED light and make it blink? All right. So the microcontroller has 5 PWM out pins. We've got D3, D5, D6, D9, 10, and 12. Those are all capable of PWM out, pulsed width modulation. So what we are going to do is we are going to use any one of these 5 PWM pins, and we are going to solder a signal wire from any one of these PWM to our MOSFET. Here's our MOSFET up here. So we have ground's here with the square. Sorry, I don't have the labeled picture of this MOSFET, but this is the one I use. So ground is always a square solder pad. And then the other side here will be the signal PWM. So we will take, let's use D3 as an example. We will solder from D3 to any one of these 3 signal pins here. And then we will take ground from the microcontroller, and we could use this ground over here, or we could use the same one that the 5-volt regulator is connected to. They're all common. They all go to the same place. So you can choose any one of these grounds, and then we're going to solder it to this square pad, ground pad. Okay. Now we need to get power to the MOSFET. So on this MOSFET, you have an in and you have an out. So just like on the RC switch, we're going to take our 5-volt regulated power. It's nice and filtered. We are going to take our ground again from 5-volt out, bring it to our MOSFET in ground, and then we're going to take our 5-volt regular positive out to our MOSFET positive in. Okay, now all we got to do is connect the LED. So now we have a V out and V, what is it labeled as? V out positive, V out negative on the other side. And that's going to go straight to power our LED bulb. And you see down here, these are the exact bulbs that I have. They're 1-watt LED bulbs. They have a little aluminum backplate on them. And you have positive and you have negative. All you're simply going to do is take your V out positive, solder to positive. Take your V out negative, solder to negative. If you were to plug in your battery just the way it's set up now, the light would just be on solid. There'd be no blinking. This is the core of this strobe system. So we've got it all set up. Now we're going to go into Arduino IDE and we are going to write a program or code for the strobe sequence. So I'll catch you in there. All right, guys, we're here in Arduino IDE, and I'm connected to my microcontroller. And this is an example of the code to run a strobe light system. I came up in ChatGPT with this because I wanted an authentic looking commercial airliner strobe sequence. So we have either a Boeing double blink or an Airbus triple blink. So that's why this code is so long and looks so complex. It could be literally 5 lines of code. That's really all you need. The one thing I do want you to be aware of is whatever pin you used and soldered from the microcontroller to your MOSFET, that is the LED pin you will need to use in your code. So in my example, I used, since I have 2, I used 9 and 10. But if you're just using 1, you would just use D3, D5, D6, D9, D10, or D12. And then honestly, I will post this in the comments so you guys can copy and paste into your Arduino IDE. I will also paste another example of a much simpler code that you guys can edit, play around with, and have fun. But yeah, it's a pretty cool, simple little project. Gets you involved in some programming. I really don't know much programming. I used a lot of ChatGPT to help me figure this out. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you guys enjoy it and we'll have fun with it. Please comment if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and I'll help you guys out as best I can. Thanks for watching.